time. Bro, none of this is connected to one another. What are you saying? What the fuck?
The periodic table they have now,
Let's see.
it looks like a
Pull up
box.
image of it.
It looks like a straight
Are
box.
you gonna address this? Is it
They
a
don't
box?
show that hydrogen has the same tone as carbon.
What do you mean by tone?
Same tone, same key of E. Same key of E. 40.5 hertz. The next one would be like 81 hertz. You go to silicon, it will double up and would be 162 hertz. You'll go to cobalt and it'll be 324 hertz. It's take the angles of incidence or the tones that they create, you know, their color. Like you can turn color back into sound based upon, it's the same wavelength, it's just twice as long or much longer. So all you have to do is keep dividing light by 2. You keep dividing light by 2 and you'll ultimately get back to the audible sound of it, because there was a relationship between light and color, sound and tone, matter and shape. Walter Russell's periodic table that he put together. Now you compare that to Mendeleev's periodic table and you'll see something completely different. It's unwinding.
Whoa.
And you see there's a relationship that hydrogen.
So you had figured this out at a young age?
I had already seen this. This was all inside of that palace. I had access to it, and I knew the relationship.
So you saw this in dreams?
I saw it as a circle. Everything was a full circle laid out, and each area was just expanding, like wrapping a rag around your hand. The first wrap, you know, it's so tight. This is how I saw it more so, but as a vortex. You'll see there's a relationship between hydrogen, carbon, silicon, cobalt, rhodium. They're all bonded. They're all as the middle point between two noble gases. So those things don't really exist. It's only one substance. Now the problem is the first thing that we're able to perceive is hydrogen. That's the first visible element, because before it is too dense for us to perceive it. You understand what I'm saying? As you reach
No, Joe does not understand what you're saying. You want to know why Joe doesn't understand what you're saying? Because I don't understand what you're saying. And if I can't understand what you're saying, there ain't no fucking way Joe Rogan, who is a self-described ape, understands what the fuck you're saying at all.
into the next octave, the carbon octave, and they call that a bisexual tone, because the carbon has two tones to it. It has a negative side and a positive side. The part where lithium behaves, lithium is contractive, beryllium is contractive, boron is contractive, but the moment you get to carbon, you balance it out. Gets to a perfect balance of plus and minus 4. So it's a double tone. Nitrogen is -3.
Guys, Murad is an aerospace and mechanical engineer. He doesn't know that fucking chemistry shit either, okay? Just because someone is a stem cell doesn't mean they know all of the parts of STEM, as well as Terrence Howard clearly does, okay?
Oxygen is -2, fluorine is -1. Now the balance of this, all of those are mates. Fluorine and lithium naturally mate. If you have lithium bonded with any other element, the moment that fluorine is introduced, it will break all bonds violently so it can bond with fluorine. Same thing with beryllium and oxygen. That's why it said, and what they've tried to keep from us, if you want to break water into its component parts of hydrogen and oxygen, all you have to do is introduce beryllium or the sound of beryllium and oxygen.
What does he mean by the sound of beryllium? Okay. I'm trying to like pick up what he's putting down, okay? What does that mean? The frequency of beryllium? Like if you just like... So each chemical has a frequency attached to it that like... And the frequency itself can basically create that chemical in the real world without like actually, or make other chemicals react to it as though it exists by just vibrating it. Is that what he's trying to say? Like we don't have certain, Isn't that literally, if that was true, wouldn't that be like you just fart into your fucking gas tank? And if you hit the actual brown note frequency of petroleum, then all of a sudden you just, you filled up your gas tank. Isn't that how that would work? He's like, yeah, I'm actually in my basement hitting frequencies for enriched uranium. I figured out a way to recreate the frequency of enriched uranium, and now I'm actually selling it to Iran. Yes, because all chemicals come from the same element. This element transforms itself based on the frequency in a different chemical.
Will violently break away from any other thing, even hydrogen, to bond with that beryllium.
That's what he's saying, yes. Alchemic conversion through sonic frequencies can induce chemical reaction. It's true that, yes, they have chemical frequencies sort of that will produce specific ranges of light when the electrons fall back down. But if I just use light, that doesn't mean I'm going to make up new chemicals with shit that isn't there. Not exactly. Everything gives off a vibration tone. He just doesn't understand what it means. Okay, give me more of Terrence Howard. Now I need to understand his fascinating mind.
So you believe that the sun is the origin of these planets?
Of all the planets. Every solar
solar system
within its solar system gives birth to all of these other planets. This is what Walter Russell had talked about. This is what Neil deGrasse, and they attacked him for, because he talked about the drift, this natural drift, and that didn't make more sense. And they didn't have the idea of dark matter and dark energy then.
Right.
They didn't even come up with that. And now we understand 4% of the universe is visible,
right,
and 75% of it, 70% of it is dark energy, and 20-something% of it is dark matter. Unperceivable things. And they say that's because they needed to figure out how would they get the spin and create and have the galaxies.
Why do they
the
hold
spiral
together?
galaxies.
Right.
Well, what my team did, Chris Seeley, who's my he's my Scotty. We use the same simulator that they use at Princeton, and we took linchpins and we.
Why he's not in any movies? Like, I remember seeing this guy in some movies back in the day, and I just kind of forgot about him, other than like whatever characters he plays in said movies. And now I totally understand why he's no longer in movies, because he's out there cracking the code. What's the code? I don't know.
Introduced linchpins yet, but it'll be a great introduction for it. We took linchpins, this configuration of where 6 pentagons meet, and we put them in particular order.
He brought props.
There's a link for that right inside of the thing that James Pellegrini sent over to you, if you'll pull that up. And we rebuilt the planet Saturn. That's how I invented tangential flight, because your math, someone programmed that lie in there and lied to you and everyone, and all your fundamentals are off.
Well,
That's
certainly
the rest of the
now.
path.
I mean, I don't even know what to think.
You heard.
Wait, I thought that was Alex Jones. I swear to God.
I don't know what just
you
happened.
heard that I said 1 times 1 equals 2.
Do you know what just happened?
Wait, you heard that I said, both of y'all
I was
had
bad
heard
at math. I was horrible at
both
it.
of y'all had heard that I said 1 times 1 equals 2, didn't you? You had heard it somewhere. Somebody. That was
Yeah, I'd heard it.
And then everybody said I was crazy.
Yeah, they did say that.
Well, am I crazy, or is the calculator broke?
I mean, are those my only 2 options?
What do you think? What do you think? Or am I right? Or am I right? Am I right?
I don't know.
You just did the calculation.
You need.
You
some-
just did the
Terrence,
calculation. Both of y'all did.
Terrence, you look. I don't know what you thought you.
Wait, is he saying 1 times 1 equals 2? Terrence thinks 1 × 1 = 2. That's so dumb. 1 × 1 = 11, dude. Dumbass. Everybody knows that. Dumb. Yeah. I don't understand what is his calculation for 1 × 1 = 2. Like, what's the calculation? Like, how did he do that? Okay, let's keep going.
Without gravity. And it has the rings with no animation. It has the rings and the hexagon that's observed at the very top of it. Without dark matter, without dark energy,
He thinks 1 × 1 can't equal 1 because multiply means to make more of something. Oh my God. Why is it that every single fucking person that is like mentally unhinged literally always become literalists? It is genuinely a observable phenomena. It is fascinating. People just get so caught up in the meaning of words and just lose their fucking minds over it. Why? Why are people like this? It's like that one guy, that really skinny dude who like talks about how eating is gay and loves Andrew Tate, who will be like, what's a bank? A river bank? Because a river flows. And that's exactly how money flows. So you have to see where the money is going. You know what I'm talking about? The fuck's that dude? If you study physiolinguistics, it gets deep and troubling. Bro, that's just what schizophrenia is? I think so. Yeah, sovereign citizens do this as well. They think that if they say the right, like if they say the right words in the right order, that it's like a magical code. Like it's the Konami code. Where like, oh no, dude, you referenced the law. I'm surely not going to beat your ass now.
without gravity, showing that it's an outward force pushing down that creates the planet. If you can pull that up, and he explains it out, it's like 3 minutes long. But if you play this is at the very beginning of my book. That's why I went on that at the Emmys, and I was like, look,
Motherfucker wrote a book?
I've got something else to do. I've been able to rebuild Saturn without gravity, with no animation, and then they clowned it.
I guess in a way it's like, you know, debate lords thinking that like they can actually change reality through debate, through healthy, reasonable debate. If I gish gallop my way out of this conversation, you will be owned, and therefore society will change. It's like, that's not what politics is. Politics is about a distribution of resources and power, okay? It's about who gets to have it. It's about who gets to wield said power. Communicating your desires can be helpful in that conquest, but that's all it is. Okay?
Of course they did.
They
Well,
clowned
this
it.
is not something that you could say in a soundbite, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you. This is not something like your explanation of these things and your description of the very nature of reality itself is not something that should be taken lightly.
No.
It's something that, like,
Thank you for saying that.
it needs to be laid out, and it needs to be slowly examined in every, because you've obviously spent a lot of time working on this. This thing here. So play this, Jamie.
Play
Well,
it.
there's-
And this is us.
What, Jamie?
Just to clarify what I'm going to play.
Yeah,
there's
and turn it
two,
up.
Hold on.
Yeah,
There's two
you-
different videos. One's long, one's short.
No, this is going to be the short one.
Okay.
At
My
the,
computer just reset itself too because all
Okay.
these files freaked it out.
oh, yeah.
Government, man.
I don't know. I was about
Well,
to tell
they
you.
It's
don't-
Neil deGrasse Tyson. He
They
knows
almost
where your
had to
They
stop.
do
computer's
not
sitting.
video. It would be the first one.
This one, correct?
Gravity is an effect.
Okay.
It's an effect
Okay.
without any gravity. And you'll see that you get a surface of the sphere on the inside with the heavier particles. So the colors.
So are you basically saying?
What the fuck are they watching?
That you guys can recreate planets?
Yes, this is a particle simulation of the physics involved in making up the
just froze
planet
again.
Saturn.
Oh.
Include, like all the. Yeah. So the heavier particles are creating the red and the green here where the hexagon is, and those are the heavier ones creating the shell of the planet, and then the outside are lighter particles that are a fluid that's creating the counter rotation of.
Is this him rebuilding Saturn without gravity? Is that what he's doing? Like he's rebuilding a 3D model of Saturn?
The atmosphere of Saturn, like we observe scientifically. And the red ones in the middle here are where the magnetic field is strongly polarized at the north and south poles, which gives you aurora borealis.
Now, I have a question. Now, does this mean that you would be able to control what kind of atmosphere the planet has as well? Like you can change that? Because you can create it, that means you can change it.
We now have a system by which you can, it's the arrangement of linchpins and the axis on which they are spinning in relation to each other, and or vibrate.
Why is it that people like Joe Rogan never actually have genuine subject matter experts and will spend like 8 hours listening to this fucking guy? Like if Joe Rogan was this fucking charitable and open-minded to Dr. Rhonda Patrick, he wouldn't have gone down the fucking anti-vaxxer route so hard. And Dr. Rhonda Patrick is his friend, you know what I mean, of many, many years. God, I'm such a fucking Joe Rogan simp for even knowing any of those things. But for real, if he had this level of open-mindedness to like any number of actual subject matter experts that he had, like any scientist that he had, that he has known for many, many years, he would not have become this like rabid fucking anti-vaxxer guy. Because Terrence is an anti-vaxxer too. I mean, that would be the least shocking thing I found out about him after all of these other things that I found out about him.
By doing that, we can create the condition, any condition that we want.
So you can have human life here, is what you're saying.
We can recreate life.
If you were able to, if you're able to change and alter these external fields and had an understanding, like at least this would give us a method of studying it in such a way that we now understand that it's external pressures being applied from the outside in, not the standard model where you have internal fission reaction, nuclear in a planet with magnetic fields from iron cores, etc., going outward. Right? That's all kind of ego based at the center. This is pretty solid evidence that everything we're observing is from the outside coming in. So the entire universe is actually creating these planets from the outside in, from space itself, the pressures.
Turning rays. You can stop it. Now, what, so
Go to that image.
like if you picture dropping a pebble into a pond or a pool, everything expands in these longitudinal waves,
Right.
perfect spheres, unless there's something else in there. But when it hits the edge, it all starts bouncing its way back. And when it meets, when these returning waves meet expanding waves, that's when we get our first geometry. So this is the proof that the universe is not infinite, but finite. Because you could not have shape with.
Wait, what? You can't have shape without an edge? Like, is everything shaped like ripples in the water? What the fuck? The average voter believe in this, by the way? No, the average voter has no idea what the fuck this is.
Without the returning waves, and the waves would not return unless it was bouncing off of the edge of something.
Look how strange that is.
Bingo.
Look how strange that hexagon on the top of of Saturn is. Or yeah, that's Saturn, right?
Yep, and then
Yeah.
we don't even, and
That
he,
is so crazy.
he explains exactly how he built it, all the angles of incidence, all the pressure systems that he used, All of that is so it can be a repeated.
Why is it so important for him to not have gravity? Doesn't gravity solve everything that he's talking about with respect to like how these planets exist? I don't understand. Why does he think that gravity is not? Does he not think that gravity is real? Like, what the fuck is happening?
Experiment, but they've ignored this. This is in the beginning of my book. You go to my
Flat earthers don't believe in gravity. Wait, what? Is he a flat earther too? I mean, that wouldn't be shocking.
my book, that's the first page on there. Before you even open it up, I've got this, and we rebuilt the Milky Way galaxy the same way, and it predicts the star arrangement better than NASA does.
Look at this. Whoa. Boom. Look how they're sliding all over the place. I mean, that is fucking ice.
Yeah.
That guy can't stop his car. Look, he's just going to slide in that car behind him. This is
Oh my God.
ridiculous.
Is that
He can't
Portland?
What the fuck does this have to do with it? This is the most Joe Rogan clip of all time. Bro, none of this is connected to one another. What are you saying? What the fuck? Oh, what the fuck? This is that age-old Joe Rogan clip where it's like the guy who goes like, yeah, have you ever seen a monkey rip out the throat of a human? Like,
stop it.
Oh shit.
Boom.
And
And
he's
that
still
car's
going.
sliding. They're all sliding. The whole thing is ice.
Terrence Howard claims black holes don't exist.
Black holes came from the thought of gravity going crazy. When gravity goes
Yeah, but it's fake, right? Gravity's fake. He thinks gravity is fake.
crazy, light won't even be able to escape from it because light was thought as moving as a particular
Right.
constant. We've just killed that.
What do you think a black hole is?
It doesn't exist. There aren't black holes. There's no spot where where energy goes in and never comes back out. There's no place in the universe where the information paradox occurs, where there isn't a balance. Something gets contracted and never comes out. That's not how the universe behaves. It comes in and it goes out. When Newton said that gravity pulls down, if he had with that apple, yes, the apple was attracted to like conditions on the earth. It was attracted to like conditions. If he had spent another week or 2 weeks watching that apple, he would have watched the gases go right back up to where they were equalized. Everything, if it comes this way, it has to go this way. You breathe in, you.
What the fuck? Bro said Newton didn't do his research, dude. He said TikTok debunked everything he said, by the way. Wait, why? I feel like this would be right in the fucking pocket of TikTok. What he's saying is like exactly what I think TikTokers would believe.
Breathe out. It's filling in or pouring out.
So what do you think they're detecting when they're detecting black holes?
With that shift that they're talking about, that's the tornado. Remember, there's a vortice. There's all these huge vortices. Everything is spinning around a vortice. So a collection of larger vortices is going to have the same thing that's happening at the center of the galaxy is happening in the center of a hurricane. It's happening in your toilet stool.
Which is why the galaxy is a circular disk in the first place.
Everything, all motion is expressed in waves. All waves are expressed in curves. It always makes spirals.
So because of the concept of gravity and because of the concept of this event horizon, this super point of gravity, this
Oh my God, I want Joe Rogan to become a flat earther who doesn't believe in gravity so bad. That'd be so sick.
infinite point that light can't even escape. That this exists because of the
their
theory
math
of gravity.
and their math. Remember,
Yeah.
they have a thing called zero. They
He's a real hater. He's like, them Arabs, they created a thing called zero. It's a lie. Think, Joe, think. Al Jazeera, Al Qaeda, Al Jabra. That's right. They invented zero.
They go from 1 to 0 to
Right.
-1. There is no zero to even think zero.
So do you think that zero is a concept that came along with currency?
It should be attached to currency in that regard, because in physics, it's either nothing remains still. There's nothing still in the universe. There's nothing that doesn't have motion, because everything is connected. So if one thing is still, everything that's connected to it has to be still. There can never be one thing still. So as electricity tries to get to its balanced state, right when it gets there, magnetism takes over and it pushes over. So there's this pendulum. And as soon as it gets to this state, it bounces off that other noble gas and it makes its way all the way back over here, and it's about to have equanimity, and then it gets pulled back into the other direction. And that's the breathing in and breathing out and the pendulum effect that we've all observed in natural phenomena in the universe.
And that's a part of everything.
Everything behaves that way. Every one of our cells. Comes down to our cells are made up of water, mostly water, 80%, 90% water somewhere. Water is hydrogen. Hydrogen has 12 vortices that's behaving with it, 12 opposing vortices.
So what, in your model, what happens to these suns when they supernova?
Everything gets old and die.
Everything gets old and die. And does everything recompress?
Has to. And you breathe out, what happens to that air? Another plant breathes that air in.
So would this be the universe itself? Would it be galaxies? Would it be...
Everything behaves the same way.
So as the sun expands and projects and ejects particles, they...
Isn't this like the, what is it called? The Fibonacci sequence or whatever? But like, but vortices. It's called science fiction. It's his own version of it. What is he saying? Vertice? Dude, I'm too stupid to understand any of this. To be fair, or I'm not stupid enough to understand any of this. It's one or the other. I do not have the adequate science background but also at the same time, I feel like I just haven't hit his frequency. You know what I mean? Like, if I was just a little bit dumber, I swear I would be like, yeah, it's making a lot of sense. Because, like guys, this is, bro, I swear to God, this is exactly how stem cells and people who love debate and stuff get caught up in figures that they perceive as like charismatic. They don't have the appropriate knowledge in the field, so they just look at like a confident charlatan, preach sweet nothings to them, and if it makes sense, then it's like, oh yeah, this guy's actually brilliant. This is literally how it works. If I was like 35% dumber as far as science goes, maybe I can find myself listening to what he's saying and be like, yeah. This is how stem cells get caught up with Jordan Peterson, because they just don't understand any of the things. They don't know the concepts at all. They've done no reading on it. They've never investigated it. Jordan Peterson is just the first to be there and tell them, no, the way you see the world is actually correct. So then they just get caught up in that shit. Because this ain't my wheelhouse at all.
Expand. They go further and further from the sun, and at a certain point, they come back.
Well, at a certain point, what do they hit? There's other expanding stars and
So like waves colliding.
yes,
And
from the
retreating.
other star systems. They have an expanding. What is the the solar wind? They have expanding solar winds. So when they meet. Our star meets the solar wind from another star at that end of that spot. Now there's two pressure conditions. So you have another Lagrange spot that's happening there. That's when those waves start coming back, but they get hit. And if they hit at 120 degrees, because that's how the universe is arranged, now these things become electric. So they, instead of coming from the planar side and expanding out at the equator, they now come back up from the northern and southern parts.
So does this account for stellar nurseries?
Yes. All of these things are just pressure conditions hitting each other. And they're causing that. That's where the Birkeland currents are running through, those higher electrical fields. But everything in the universe is just electricity. And we call it magnetism when it's devitalized, but it's still electricity. We call the radiative side, it's the feminine side. And the contractive side is the positive, masculine side. It's a balance, and it's never been anything but that balance, and we've complicated it with a lie.
If you're right, so many people are wrong.
Everyone's
Joe! Dude, I gotta run that back, man. That's awesome.
anything but that balance, and we've complicated it with a lie.
If you're right, so many people are wrong.
Everyone's wrong. Oh,
That's awesome. God, Joe is back in his wheelhouse, dude. Just interviewing the nuttiest individuals.
well, the universe backs me up. I have the proof of it. You have all these physicists that's saying something different, but none of them have 97 patents. None of them have introduced a new form of
Wait, this guy has 97 patents? For what?
flight with unlimited midair bomb.
He's introduced a new form of flight? What the fuck is he saying, bro? Bro, okay, listen, dude. The thing I never understand about guys like this, and just like conspiracy theorists, fabulists of all different sorts of interests, is that it requires an unimaginable amount of time and investment to come up with these alternative theories and to, I guess, quote unquote, investigate and do the reading. And in that same exact time frame, you could have just learned the actual science. It's like, it blows my fucking mind. If I invested this much time and effort into something that is objectively wrong, I would be so sad. I would be so fucking sad. And on the other end of this, when you do invest this much time and effort into it, you just end up holding on to these ideas because now you've made the investment. There's probably a level of narcissism too, and it's like, well, I came up with this stuff and I'm brilliant, so the stuff I came up with must be solid. Here's this hydrogen technology that he created
Terrence
for Uganda.
I've become an actor. I've been nominated for Oscars and Golden Globes and SAG Awards, but those weren't the things that really moved me. As a child, I studied chemical engineering at Pratt Institute, was there for 2 years until I saw that there was an inconsistency with the math there. And so I went out to explore a new way of understanding how the universe works, and I was able to define the grand unified field equation they've been looking for and put it into geometry. And then with that geometry, I was able to put props on that. And what I'm saying is now we have invented a new form of flight that I would like to bring here to Uganda to replace the drones, to replace the helicopters, to replace the planes. We have all the funding necessary. What we need is just a fertile ground in which to build this. Now, this is the geometry of hydrogen. Of hydrogen. Hydrogen. This is the proton itself. So any bond that hydrogen can make, our linchpins are able to make. So we're talking about unlimited bonding, unlimited predictable structures, supersymmetry. And the linchpins are now able to behave as a swarm, as a colony that can defend a nation, that can harvest food, that can remove plastics from the ocean, that can give the children of Uganda and the people of Uganda an opportunity.
It's pretty crazy that, like, in this day and age, you can just literally, if you're famous and rich enough, you could just have a schizophrenic episode and, like, an entire nation that has been used and abused historically will offer you safe passage and an opportunity to just have that schizophrenic episode in broad daylight. Like, that's wild. Think about that, dude. Think about how fucking fascinating that is. Like this guy's just out of control. I'm not going to read his paper, dude. It's because I'm scared of the truth, okay?
Bonding. None of them have discovered 4 supersymmetrical systems. This is what we've done. This is what the collective is able to do when you put yourself into the divine space. Because that spirit is waiting. It's just like, okay, are you going to make yourself available for it?
So let me ask you this. If I had a magic wand and I allowed you to not just show this, but allowed all of these people that have these opposing ideas, you debate them, you duke it out, you emerge victorious, okay? With this magic wand, and now people go, just listen to Terrence. What do we do?
Well, then we write new axioms and new postulates based off the real wave conjugations. Now we adjust our understanding of our physics to fit natural phenomena. And then we are in balance with it, and we have to let go of the idea of this currency. We're the only creatures in the known universe that uses currency, that uses an indirect form of payment instead of a direct exchange.
Look at this. Whoa.
Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. Here's a take that you might not be ready for. Okay? Terrence Howard is basically living definitional proof that the way I see the world is correct, and the way you see the world is correct as well, that homeless people who are experiencing dire circumstances and have, like, you know, genuine mental health complications would be significantly better off if they had money and shelter. Because what he is saying here, after being able to take a warm bath and after being able to pay for an Uber ride over to the Joe Rogan compound, is identical to the fucking homeless guy down the street. The only difference is that homeless guy down the street is shitting in his fucking pants and is devoid of shelter. Okay? That's it. 1 to 1. Literally 1-to-1. Every homeless person could be like Terrence Howard if they just had a house. Unironically, how the fuck are we not housing everybody, dude? Seriously. That is not a good thing. Yes, it is, bro. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It absolutely is. Because to the outsider, like, he just seems like a normal guy. I had no fucking clue he was insane like this. Why? Because he's able to carry himself a certain way. Because he has certain amenities and certain incredibly important things necessary for survival readily available to him. Because of his acting career and all the money that he made. Okay? He's rich. So when you're rich and you have this class status, all of a sudden, it don't matter. It's the same dynamic that exists with people that constantly are like, oh, these guys are doing drugs on the streets. They're doing fucking drugs on the streets. They're on heroin on the streets. It's like, bitch, so is your mom. It's just that she has a Xanax prescription and she gets to do it at home. So you don't think about it in the same exact way. But there's no difference in many respects. That's it. That's literally it. My point is, basically, if we treated every single person with dignity, like they were human beings, okay, and they had access to running water and buy clothes, clean clothes and launder them and shit like that. Ultimately, they could be just like Terrence Howard. It's not a good point. Nobody wants more influential people like Terrence. No, dude, I'm not saying that, like, you're missing the point I'm making. The point I'm making is that if Terrence Howard didn't fucking get super lucky and, like, you know, get into acting and make a shit ton of money, he would literally be no different than the dude that you look in the other direction of coming out of the fucking subway station, okay? I'm not saying that every homeless person is going to go on Joe Rogan and go to Uganda. My point is, there should be a base level there should be a base level of things that we give everyone so that they can be human beings and be seen as human beings and be perceived as human beings. He would have more money if he just took the Iron Man 2 gig. Give the homeless people money so they can pitch in front of the Ugandan state. If you have to explain it, you've lost the war already, homie. I know. It's awesome. He's awesome. I didn't want to originally dive into this, but now that we have, I'm much more knowledgeable